Hey guys, on this podcast, you're going to be hearing some of the craziest insurance stories in the world. Jonathan has got stories out the ears, and we just wanted to let you into a little glimpse of some of the stuff he's had to handle.
Hey guys, welcome to the Buzz Coffee and Real Estate. We've got Jonathan.CAUDILL with us again today, and we're going to be talking about some crazy insurance stories. So, Jonathan, what do you got for us? There's definitely going to be some crazy ones.
I'll start this by saying, Josh, insurance sometimes pays for a lot of things that are quote unquote stupid or stupid ideas, or maybe not the best thought process to have. You've got the standard, or maybe not so standard, large losses like fires, huge trees on structures, those type things, but a couple that kind of stand out. So this one actually happened to a family member of mine who we've had conversations with about a hurricane, that doesn't just pop up overnight, ended up in this particular case pushing on shore to North Carolina coast. They happened to be on vacation at the time, and needless to say, the SUVs were swimming underneath the rental property that they had. So that one was not a good day there.
Floating SUVs.
You're talking like the Stilts house. They're parked underneath.
It is. It was the piers, and the family member actually told me later. I probably won't say who it is. Shouldn't say that. They said, I felt really small hearing the water below the house in the middle of the night as the storm surge pushed, and you could hear the SUVs. And by the way, they had another insured of mine that decided to rent the home for the same week. So they had their cars there as well. So my advice is next time, kind of try to get out of the path of the hurricane when it comes. Number one for your safety, but also too for loss mitigation there. But yeah. She could hear the cars banging against the piers at night, as it was there below. So that was definitely an interesting, as you say, insurance claim.
Oh man.
You
said something about a deer earlier.
Yeah, I had a. This was a story. It wasn't my actual insured, but I had a story of wildlife, deer in this case, come inside. Decide that they no longer wanted to be outside, and came through a storm or screen door.
Ooh.
And just let your mind run on the damages that were done not only to the
Was
door.
this a buck or was it a doe?
I don't know the details there, but I do know that a lot of the interior of the home was badly damaged, in a short amount of time.
Oh wow!
So that was one that was very interesting.
Do you know if the people were home at that point?
I'm not sure.
Okay,
I'm not sure if they were.
They weren't for long.
They probably did not stay inside long. But you see a lot of things happen. To answer to your question there, interesting stories. Talking about trees, we had the wind come through a couple weeks ago here in this area with wet ground. Had a guy call me one morning and had a tree that literally, a huge oak tree that stopped about a foot from getting, to where he and his wife are sleeping in the house.
Oh, wow.
So you see some things that are very scary.
Yeah.
But obviously, at times, somewhat, if it's not you entertaining with the wildlife or
as long as it's not our client,
that's right.
Yeah, losses go up pretty quickly on that. But yes, we do see and hear of a lot of interesting stories on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned before we got started there was some sort of candlelight problem.
So this one happened probably 8-9 years ago. Been on Farmville a little over 10 years. In a rental property, there was this one kind of embarrasses me to even tell the claim, but the claim notice was filed. So it was a rental property that an insured home had. The tenants there decided to have a romantic, maybe bath time.
Okay.
Would be a
Candlelit bath.
With candlelight.
Okay.
At some course during that evening, a candle got
Knocked over.
tipped over, causing a 6-figure house fire.
Oh, God.
So yes,
Imagine
sometimes
calling them and saying, "Hey, I just caught your house on fire."
Yes.
So how did that happen? I don't really want to say.
That's right. I got to get my bathrobe on and call the insurance agent. Yeah.
Yep. And so some of the claim notices we see, loss notices that are filed, some of the original notices that we read, the explanation, can provide a little bit of candor.
Oh, I can imagine.
Wow.
Let me ask you one question. So, with insurance stories and so forth, I know you guys probably have dealt with some people trying to fraudulently get a claim done. You got any cool stories on that?
Wow. Sometimes people get
Maybe just
amnesia.
depressing stories.
That's right.
Fraudulent claims. That's a really good question. Yes, a lot of times it involves theft.
Okay. Like car
because
getting stolen?
Yeah,
or-
well, contents,
Okay.
those type things. I'll preface this by saying insurance fraud is
Severe.
highly frowned upon
Yes.
and does have some consequences with that, severe being the case. But yes, we do encounter those from time to time. I don't have any that come particularly to mind on that because I deal a lot of times with good clients that we hope don't do that.
That you hope.
Yeah,
Don't.
that don't hope embellish. And if it goes to an adjuster hasn't made me aware of that any recently, that my memory can serve me well.
Well, that's good to
good.
hear.
That's
Instead of
good.
that being
It
like
is.
a once a week occurrence or something like that.
It is.
Yeah.
A Farm Bureau would probably be worrying about me a little bit if I had a once a week occurrence of a claim notice like that. They're thinking about
Right.
what type of people of insurance is
Who is he marketing to?
Yeah. Where is he getting referrals from?
Yes.
Yeah. So fortunately, we don't have a ton of those.
Yeah.
But
Well-
it does happen. It does happen throughout the industry.
Well, and we're not diving in too big, but you mentioned about the cars and the house. And so just so folks know, Farm Bureau insures a lot more than just a house.
Yep.
And a lot of times those package bundles do have discounts associated with them, but it's, of course, a case-by-case basis. And so I just want to kind of throw that out there. If you're talking with Jonathan about a house, it's always good to say, hey, what if I move my life insurance or my car insurance or whatever over, because a lot of times that can save somebody quite a bit of money.
It can. That's a very good point, Cameron. It does help. The more policies that you have with an insurer, it helps from an underwriting standpoint,
Okay.
right? Them feeling more comfortable about the risk
Yeah.
that they have. And it can lead to some good discounts for folks, specifically in regards to having car and homeowners insurance in the same place.
Gotcha.
And at times that can lead to several $100s a year just in multi-line discount
Oh, that's
savings.
nice. Okay.
So it can be well worth the conversation to have.
Gotcha. So if somebody is touching base with you, thinking about buying a house,
Sure.
hey, what are we looking at if I go ahead and switch things over? It's worth the question.
It is. Again, like I said, it's always worth having the conversation, right? Having those questions answered on the front end, taking the information, and then providing a good follow-up with the way those numbers would look.
Yeah.
One thing. So tell us what you offer. What are the different types of insurance? Because I know for me, we were talking about even health insurance on some elements.
Yeah. So we provide multiple lines of insurance. Everybody knows the homeowners, the auto. We do provide health insurance, life insurance services. We provide business insurance.
Yep.
We work with a lot of small business owners and their needs. We also work with individuals on things that may be limited through their planning. Farm owners, we're sitting here at a beautiful farm today, right? Dealing with inland marine policies, which is like scheduled out items, jewelry, tractors, those type things that you want to put individual insurance on, those specific items. So a question that wouldn't be asked is the worst question, right? So ask those questions. We're probably able to help with most of their insurance, if not all of their insurance needs.
That's awesome.
And you have insurance policies that cover deer, floating SUVs, candles, all of those sorts of things.
Yes, those items would fall under. Obviously the candle would be a fire claim on the property, but the deer with the vehicle is a comprehensive claim, falls under your auto policy.
Okay.
The deer going into the house, that's a homeowner's claim.
Gotcha.
The vehicle's floating, that is a comprehensive claim.
Okay.
So having those conversations on the front end are important to have. And then subject to deductibles and those type things, yes. We do have policies to cover that. Those were covered.
Okay, wonderful.
One more question. So I was thinking about this. Flood insurance
Sure.
is something that we deal with
Yep.
on occasion.
Yes.
And so, actually, I've had 2 buyers this week. Both of them sent me houses, and they're like, hey, I really want to go look at this house. And as soon as I pull it up, I'm like, it's in a flood zone.
Okay.
So if you have, a cool story about a flood zone, or if you can just kind of give some insight into flood insurance, because I know that's a piece of it that we kind of, tiptoe around.
Yeah.
Maybe
It
even
is.
some fear.
Well, it is something definitely to address. You bring up a valid point because the lender is going to require, given on the mortgage, if it's in a particular flood zone. All right, there's different flood zones. Without going into detail there, they're going to require flood insurance to be in force throughout the life of that loan. I don't have a crazy flood story.
Other than the floating SUVs.
The floating
SUVs.
SUVs, yeah. In a coastal area, people that live in that area or that have rental property in that area, they're obviously, building houses up on pylons or piers in regards to get above that flood elevation to help with their rating and also to help with protecting the property. But when clients are looking at homes in a flood area, don't let that dissuade them too much from that. But it is a conversation that needs to be had. It certainly is, because it does impact cost, right? Because it is a separate policy. A standard homeowner's policy does not cover flood.
That's good to know.
It is a very good, important
Good to know.
important piece to know.
Awesome.
And the rating on those, like you have, X and O and all the different flood plains. So with that being said, there's, way worse off flood zones and lesser flood zones.
Little bit.
Depending on risk, the zone would be rated out like X as a preferred zone. You've got A, you can go down through the laundry list for that. And yes, premiums are impacted by those zones that they're in. Absolutely.
Do you guys see any flood claims? I mean, is that something that's kind of a normal, or is that something that's like very far and few between?
Well, it's not normal, but the severity is high when it happens. So there's 2 things to consider: frequency and severity. When severity comes, it doesn't matter about the frequency, right? Because it's happened.
Yeah, pretty much
And
total
so
loss.
that's correct. That's correct. It can happen, and the loss can be significant very quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that is good to know.
It's helpful information, especially for me. I know we've kind of had those conversations. We're like, well, let me see.
And
what
those flood maps change. They do update over time. So keeping up to date when buyers are looking at homes and properties in a particular area in regards to insurance, yes, taking into account flood and flood insurance is important to do. Don't lose sight of that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wonderful.
I love it.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for us today. And Jeff and Lee, if you have any crazy stories, we would love to hear them in the comments down below. But again, thanks, Jonathan, for being on the podcast, and just enjoy gleaning from some of your wisdom. So
Thanks.
And we also have all his information in the description below, so you can reach out to him personally and be able to kind of get some evaluations done on your insurance.
absolutely. All right, y'all have a great day. We'll talk to you next time.
See you guys in the next one.